When I sat down with Brodsky to discuss his suspended law license, I had no idea what was coming next. A decade after a jury found Drew Peterson guilty in the death of his third wife, Kathleen Savio, Peterson's case is back in court this week, where a judge is reviewing his claim that his former attorney, Joel Brodsky, did not provide effective counsel. A lot has happened since the trial. Peterson had 40 more years tacked onto his sentence after being convicted of a plot to kill the prosecutor. And Peterson's one-time attorney had his law license suspended for unrelated conduct. And that is where our story begins. But you were never charged with a crime.
Never.
Never accused of taking a client's money.
Never.
And yet they benched you for 2 years.
In an interim base? Yeah.
These days, Joel Brodsky is a pariah of his profession. His law license suspended, his clients in limbo, his anger palpable.
And I can understand the police taking a second look at everything, absolutely. I think the way wouldn't be doing their job if they didn't.
It's a far cry from his high-flying days next to his most infamous client.
The third wife.
Okay.
What happened?
Don't know. I don't know.
There were national TV interviews.
But can you understand why people watching at home, why people who hear you tell this story shake their heads and think he can't be telling the truth? It just doesn't make sense. Do you understand that?
I understand what people are thinking, of course, but it happens.
Constant coverage.
He says he believes that he helped you dispose of your wife's body.
Talk to my lawyer. I got nothing to say about it.
No truth to it whatsoever.
None. Nobody helped me with anything. Such a manner.
And a client who seemed to revel in the spotlight almost as much as his counsel.
I'm going to come camp myself in front of your house and see if you like it.
Brodsky lost Peterson's case. The former Bolingbrook police sergeant was convicted of killing his third wife, Kathleen Savio, and has been labeled the only suspect in the 2007 disappearance and likely murder of his fourth wife, Stacy, whose body has never been found.
Drew told you what happened to Stacy.
I know everything about both of his wives, everything.
And Brodsky says he is considering spilling his secrets.
He's never getting out of jail, so it's not going to hurt him. And
wouldn't you never practice law again?
Well, I don't think I'm ever practicing law again anyway, so what's the difference, right?
So why would Brodsky, after 37 years practicing law, consider betraying the fundamental principle of his profession? He says the answer is because the profession betrayed him. In 2019, the Illinois Attorney Registration and Disciplinary Commission suspended his law license for 2 years. The complaint said Brodsky sent an email to parties in a child custody case and school workers that called one parent very mentally sick. He was also accused in another case of a pattern and practice of unprofessional behavior, including false allegations and inappropriate diatribes and pleadings.
Do you regret your conduct?
I mean, yeah, I do.
Brodsky questions why he lost his license for 2 years when politicians like former House Speaker Mike Madigan and Alderman Ed Burke have kept theirs, despite being federally charged with using their public office to steer business to their private law practices. Alderman Burke's wife is also a justice on the Illinois Supreme Court, which oversees the agency that stripped Brodsky of his ability to practice law.
Decisions, rulings, opinions, are made based upon not what the facts are or what the law is, but are being done based upon who you are and who you know and what your financial connection to them are. And if that's, I don't want to get involved in that anymore.
Despite the fact Brodsky's 2-year suspension is technically up, he has not applied to have his law license reinstated.
It's almost like being, I don't want to get back into a dirty business, what I think is a dirty business.
You're telling me the guy who represented Drew Peterson is worried about getting dirty?
Well,
or feeling dirty?
He recognizes the irony, but says every client deserves a vigorous defense, even Illinois' most infamous former cop.
I feel bad about what, Drew, still not taking responsibility and Stacy still being missing, that I'm thinking about maybe, revealing what happened to Stacy and where she is.
It would be the ultimate treachery, not just to Peterson, but also the legal profession.
I think it's despicable.
Former appellate judge Dave Erickson says in his decades-long legal career, he's never known a lawyer to so boldly threaten to break attorney-client privilege.
Whether you hate Drew Peterson, whether you think he's a murderer, a killer, or whatever it is, when he took that job, he assumed this fiduciary relationship with that man. And to break that breaks the very trust that this entire system of law should be based upon.
It's something that, weighs on my conscience.
A lawyer's conscience, a convicted killer's secret. Will the mystery of what happened to Stacy Peterson soon be solved?
I would never do anything that would hurt a former client, but he's in prison. He's never getting out. So if he was a man, he would say, okay, I'm done. Here's what happened, so that people can have the matter resolved and have closure.
The Illinois Department of Corrections considers Drew Peterson such a security threat they've shipped him out of state to an undisclosed prison. No comment tonight from Peterson's public defender. Stacy Peterson's sister, Cassandra, said if Brodsky is serious about finally providing her family with closure, he should reach out to her or law enforcement immediately.
Ben, is Brodsky considering sharing these secrets because he regrets defending Peterson?
No, he doesn't regret defending Peterson. He believes in that bedrock principle that everybody deserves a good legal defense. But keep in mind, another bedrock principle of the legal profession is always, no matter what your client says never becomes public.
It's confidential.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
And we will continue to follow developments on this story throughout all of our newscasts. You can watch it again anytime at WGNTV.com or on our free WGN News app.